Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. I'm so glad you're here today. Now today I'm bringing in the Heart Balloon Shaker card craft dies, and I've got some patterned cardstock from the Better Together paper pad by Scrappiness, and I'm just showing you all of these different sprinkle mixes that Scrappiness has for Valentine's Day, and they just have a lot. They have a ton of them. And I really like them, and I just wanted to show you, if you need embellishments or sprinkle mixes or enamel dots, Scrappiness is the place to get them. They have so many. So I'm bringing in the dies from this die set, and I'm going to use a pale yellow and a pale blue, and I'm also bringing in some hammer-mill white that I think I'm going to cut those out of, but I wind up using more of that patterned paper pack for that. So I've got all of my die cut elements laying out here. Everything's been die cut out, and I'm ready to go. So I've got all of my dies laying there beside it. I've even got my acetate. I used the dies to cut the acetate out, and now I'm just going to put all my dies up and get everything out of the way. I did bring in a sweet cinnamon die set as well and die cut that out in lavender. And I used my stitched fancy rectangle die, actually my stitch scallop rectangle die, to make a white panel for the front of my card. And then I'm realizing I have everything but a card base. So I'm going to bring in my score buddy and just score up a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch panel. It's going to be top folding, and that's what we'll begin laying our card elements on. So I'm going to use this paper and get it laid down as my base panel, and you can see it's two-sided. It's got an orange polka dot. It's an orange base with a darker polka dot on it. So this paper is two-sided, so you have lots of choices as far as what you want to do. And I'm having trouble getting it lined up, so I'm trying to get it lined up, and I can see my card base is cut a little off, so I'm going to use my guillotine off camera there real quick and just trim it up and get it ready to go. Now this is my panel that I use the stitch scallop rectangle die on, and I love that die set. It adds a lot of character to your cards. And I'm just laying it right down in the center of it. I wanted to have a base for my shaker balloons, and I just used the white. And then I'm just got my pattern paper to just kind of frame it out so that it is not so busy. And then I'm just going to take my glue and get these 3 pale yellow hearts layered up together, and then I can begin building my shaker balloons. Now I thought on that little string, the balloon string, I thought I'm going to have trouble getting that lined up because it's just so thin and getting it, but I had absolutely no trouble at all. It lined up real nice together. And I'm going to get my 3rd layer and get it laid down on there, and that heart will be ready to begin working with. I just wanted to have some dimension and just kind of firm up my dies. So I just did 3 layers. And then we'll do the exact same thing with the blue smaller heart, and we'll get them assembled. And these come together quite nicely. Now you do have, you see up above the, I've got the insides of those hearts that cut out, and you can use those for something else. I've got 3 of the blue and 3 of the yellow up there, and they could definitely be used. Now I thought I was going to cut the backer pieces of the hearts out of that white hammer-mill cardstock, but I actually brought more of that pattern paper in, and I've got the blue up there that you can see, and the yellow that I'm going to lay on the backs of these hearts. Now this acetate has a protective film on it, so right now I'm just trying to use my tool there to get that pulled off, and it pulled off nicely. And so I'm going to get those ready. I'm just trying to clean them up, make sure they didn't get any things on them from going through my die cutting machine. And I'm going to get them laid on my little shaker hearts. And I'm just using a tape glue runner, and they'll stick fast and firmly by using this. So I decided to do that instead of the glue, and the chance that the glue might slide around and take a little bit longer to dry. So this will give me a fast hold. And I'm just getting those lined up. Like I said, I used that backer die to die cut that acetate, and it looks like it's going to work. I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow one, and then we'll be able to begin putting our little shaker bits inside of our little heart balloon shaker dies. Just trying to get it lined up correctly so that it doesn't peek too much around the edge. I think I trimmed off a little bit there in the corner. Grabbed my scissors and just trimmed it off real quick. So those are ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is bring in an 1/8 of an inch foam tape, and I'm going to pull the release paper off of it, because you can just, once you pull the release paper off, you can bend this foam tape around very easily, and just around the edge of your heart. And I decided to snip it here rather than make the turn, and I think on the next one I actually curve it around the turn, but this piece was almost exactly the size that I needed. I just had to snip off a little bit. I have some sheets on there that I had cut from already, and so it was about the right size. And I've got a little piece there that I trimmed off. I'm just trying to get it off of there and make sure I get that laid down real tight. Now I'm bringing in my anti-static powder and just doing the base and the top so that my sprinkle mix will freely move. And I put some of those little beads in there, and then some of my little conversation hearts. And I've got one that's stuck to the edge. I've got my tweezers just grabbing it off of there. And then I'm going to pick out the orange and the green, because I'm not bringing those colors into my card. I'm just sticking with the yellow, the blue, the pink, and the purple. And then I'll get this laid down on there. That laid down nicely. I was able to easily get those in there, not spill them, not get them stuck on the sides, and it laid down really nice. I like that. And so we'll do the same thing with our blue one. And I'm putting these all back in there, but I'm going to have to get them out. I'm going to run the foam tape again around the yellow. And like I said, I don't know if I said this or not, but I was originally planning to put this yellow piece of paper behind that yellow shaker heart, and then the blue behind the blue shaker heart. But I'm using scraps from another project, and the blue scrap was larger and the yellow one was smaller, and so I had to use the smaller piece of paper on the smaller die and the larger on the larger. So I wound up with a blue balloon and a yellow back, and a yellow balloon and a blue back, but I'm okay with it. I think it looks fine. It wasn't what I had originally intended to do, but when I find paper that I like, I try to make the most of it. And I like this pale yellow, and I like the pale blue paper, and I knew that I wanted to use it again, and so I hated to cut into another full piece just for these little hearts, so I just used the scraps that I had. Plus, it gets the scraps out of my craft room, and I like that. Now, I had forgot to put the little foam on that yellow one, and when I did the blue one, I realized it, so I went back and added a piece to that yellow one so that it wouldn't flatten out. Just add my sprinkle bits. Now I was shaking them around thinking if I could get the orange ones at the bottom. Then I decide that I'm going to bring in my little triangle tray and dump some in there, and then I can just get the ones that I want in there. I start pulling out the ones I don't want, and then I thought, just start pushing in the colors that you do want. And so that's what I'm doing there. And we can lay that aside and get our little balloon laid down on top of our little shaker base. And I'm just checking it, making sure it flows freely. And I had 3 of them. You see, I was kind of pointing at it. I had 3 of them that were kind of stacked to where they wouldn't move around very well. So I just lifted the back and moved them and then pushed it down real well. And now I'm going to work on the design, try and figure out how I want this. And I'm looking at it, arranging it, and thinking, you know, how am I going to do this sentiment? Do I do it above it? Do I do it under it? Because my strings are long. And I'm trying to plan this out, and I'm like, is there too much white space around there? Do I need to add something? Then I decide, let's just cut the strings down. Doesn't matter what size the strings are. And we'll do that. We could put our sweet sentiment at the bottom. And I decide I want to actually add some layers to that sweet. So I go off camera, cut 3 more layers out, glue them up, and I'm going to add them to the bottom of it. So I've decided this is what I'm going to go with, and I'll lay my balloons down. Just get a good amount of glue on there and get them laid down. And then I'm going to glue up my sentiment and get it laid down as well. And we'll get it laid down on the card base. And I think I just lay just ever so lightly over the edge of the balloon strings. And then I'm thinking about these extra cutout pieces. Would I want to add them to it? So I'm going to layer them up. I layer the blue ones up. And I'm thinking, is this something that I might add to it? And I'm looking at it. I'm like, no. And I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I'm looking at the yellow ones. And I ultimately decide I'm not going to use those hearts to embellish. But then I thought, I've got these sprinkles laying right here in this tray. Let's just add some of these, and that will finish off our card. It'll add some additional embellishments, and it will you know, just coordinate with what we've got going on in our balloons and fill in some of that white space. So that's what I'm going to do. I add 2 by the yellow one, and I think I do 2 by the blue one, and then 1 up above the blue, and just kind of fill in that white space, and then I'm satisfied with how this card turns out. Okay, so I'm going to get that last one on there, and I think I'm like how this turned out. I think it's super cute. These dies are a lot of fun. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.